It's now 2027, and for the past 2 decades, humans have been unable to produce children. Humanity is on the verge of extinction, and this has led to the destruction of society. However, the United Kingdom is part of one of the few remaining nations with a functional government, causing a wave of refugees to enter the nation illegally. This causes the streets of the nation to be patrolled by the army, in order to catch illegal immigrants for imprisonment and execution. The movie begins with Theo entering a bakery to get a cup of coffee. He hears the news of the passing away of the youngest person in the world on television. He has been struggling with his celebrity status due to his age, but was attacked by a fan for not giving out his autograph. However, Theo doesn't look bothered by the news, even though everyone in the shop is devastated. He soon leaves the shop but stops to add whiskey to his coffee. Suddenly, there is an explosion in the shop, but Theo seems not to be hurt by the explosion. Alarms begin to go off and there is a lot of screaming, but Theo is not bothered by the annoying sound in his ear and leaves for work as if nothing bad has happened. At his workplace, everyone is crying over the death of the youngest person in the world and nobody is doing their normal work. Theo seizes the opportunity and lies to his boss that he is also devastated about the news, requesting permission to finish his work at home. While he returns home, his train is continuously stoned by a group of rebels and indigenous. He also sees cages filled with refugees, guarded by the cops, in the station. Theo still doesn't look bothered by the situation. Soon after, Theo meets with his old friend, Jasper, outside the station. The two hug and leave in Jasper's car, discussing the bakery explosion and considering the possibility that the government might have planted the bomb. On their way, they also see a bus filled with refugees, transporting them to the camp in Bexhill. Meanwhile, Jasper's house is hidden deep in the woods and they have to stop the car and move some plant branches away. While they drive, Jasper makes fun of Theo's loveless life and his alcohol addiction. He also requests that Theo moves in with him, but Theo turns down his offer. Inside, there are photos and newspaper chips, describing Jasper to be a political cartoonist and his wife, Janice, as a photojournalist. However, Janice is now in a catatonic state due to the torture she passed through, and Jasper is now a pot and hippie dealer. There are also pictures of Theo with a lady and a little boy. Theo says hello to Janice and he joins his friend on the couch, smoking and discussing different topics. Jasper informs him that his client is an immigration cop at Bexhill camp and the two talk about the possible existence of the Human Project, a secret scientific research organization where they are trying to find a solution to human infertility. The following day, while Theo leaves for work, he is kidnapped by a militant immigrant right group, called the Fishes. They cover his face and put him in the van. At the Fishes' territory, Theo's face is uncovered and he realizes that he is in a protected room. He also sees his ex-wife, Julian, who apologizes for the theatrics, even though it is needed to avoid the cops. Julian has been wanted since their activist days, but Theo seems to have left that life behind. She explains that they weren't the ones that caused the explosion at the bakery and later takes Theo for a walk. Julian tells him that she staged the kidnap as they need transfer papers for a refugee girl to get to the coast and Theo can get them through his cousin. Theo does not agree to help them, and he also tells her that he doesn't need her money when Julian offers him monetary compensation. Since Theo refuses to help them, his face is covered again and taken out of the facility. On their way, he is told that they are always watching and he is given a paper sign to hang on the tube in case he changes his mind. Theo is then thrown in the middle of the road and given some cash for bus. Soon after, Theo seems to have considered the offer as he visits his cousin, Nigel, who works as a minister. A driver picks Theo up in a fancy car and drives him to the minister's private residence. The two hug and they have lunch together, alongside the minister's son, even though he ignores them to play on a screen connected directly to his body. Theo asks about Nigel's wife and also asks for the transfer papers, telling him that they are for his girlfriend as she needs to visit her sick brother in Brighton. Nigel informs him that he is doing him a huge favor as the papers are highly controlled. He then asks Theo to follow him and he tells him that he will see what he can do. Theo asks him why he keeps all the classic works of art when there will be nobody to look at them in years to come, but Nigel tells him that he doesn't think about it. A few hours later, Theo is at a pub, and a member of the Fishes, Luke, approaches him. Luke saw the sign given to Theo posted outside and Theo tells him that he has gotten the papers. However, he needs to escort the girl as they are joint and Theo demands more money to carry out the task. Luke accepts his condition because Julian thinks highly of him. The next day, Theo is approached by one of the Fishes again and he follows her outside. They enter a bus, where Julian is waiting for him. She asks about the papers and soon begins to reminisce about the past. However, the two begin to argue over the way they handle the death of their child, Dylan. It turns out that Dylan died during the 2008 flu pandemic, and this led to the separation of the couple. On getting to their destination, Theo asks Julian why she chose him and she tells him that she trusts him. Theo also asks her what will happen to them, but Julian says that she doesn't know and kisses him on his lips. They pass through a bridge, where Luke gives Theo his money, after requesting it. He is told that he will be taken to the first checkpoint in Canterbury and then he will be alone with the girl he is escorting. They enter into a car, where Theo is introduced to the girl, Key, and a woman, Miriam, a former midwife. The group then drives to Canterbury. Theo initially sleeps at the beginning of the journey but soon wakes up and he reminisces about their past as an activist with Julian. As they get close to Canterbury, they are ambushed by an armed gang. Julian is killed in the process but they manage to escape from the gang. Not long after, they are chased by two police officers but Luke stops the car and kills the officers. They then stop to bury Julian's body but Theo pretends not to be concerned. However, he cannot hold himself from crying when he moves away from the rest. Luke interrupts him and tells him that they need to leave before they are caught again, and the group leaves for the safe house. At the safe house, the members are present as they need to elect a new leader and Theo asks for a ride to London. However, he is told that it is too dangerous and he is asked to wait until the next day. Theo is then offered a bath and new clothes and begins to chat with one of the fishes. Miriam soon interrupts them and takes him to Key. Miriam takes Theo to the barn, while the fishes appoint Luke as their new leader. On getting to the barn, Miriam leaves him with Key, and she tells him that Julian told her about their son. Julian also told her to talk to him if things get worse, as he is the only one she trusts to take her to the boat called the Tomorrow. Depressed, Theo isn't interested anymore but Key takes off her clothes and reveals that she is pregnant. Theo is surprised, not believing his eyes, but they are soon interrupted by Luke, who takes them back to the house. They watch the television and find out that Julian's body has been found. The police are also looking for the people with her and they believe that they will catch them soon. The group then starts to argue about what to do with Key as the fishes don't want to make her public to prevent the government from taking away her child, but Theo thinks that she needs proper care. They also discuss how the human project is difficult to contact and they might lose their opportunity to take her to the boat. Key then decides to have her baby at the safe house, but she will be taken to the boat after she delivers her child. Later that night, Theo is unable to sleep and he stays awake, listening to the noises from outside. Disturbed by the noise, he sneaks outside to check what is happening but soon sees the people that ambushed them. It turns out that the ambush was Luke's plan as they want Luke to be the leader and take control of the baby to use as a political tool. Theo quickly rushes to Key and Miriam's room to tell them about what he saw, and help them escape from Luke. The three sneak outside and approach the cars. They disable two of the cars and enter the last one, but the vehicle refuses to start. Theo then comes down to push it but calls the attention of the fishes to them. The car does not start yet, but it slowly moves downhill and the fishes run after them, even though they cannot shoot at them because of Key. They catch up with the car and try to take them through the window but Theo and Miriam push them away. The car soon stops again but Theo comes down to push it. Meanwhile, one of the men catches up with them and points his weapon but Theo hits him with the door, pushing him away. At the end of the hill, the car refuses to move in the mud, forcing Theo to come down again to push it while Miriam jump-start it. After much trial, the car comes up and moves very well, causing Theo to run after it. However, Miriam stops, he gets into the car and the three escape from the safe house. Theo informs them that he knows a safe place and the three drive to Jasper's house, who receives them happily. While they have dinner, they discuss their options and then decide to get Key to the boat, the Tomorrow, which will arrive at Bexhill on the sea, disguised as a fishing boat. The next day, while Miriam is practicing yoga and Key is making Janice's hair, Theo approaches Key to ask her about her pregnancy. Key tells him that she is 8 months pregnant and she doesn't know the father of the child. Not long after, Jasper returns and informs them about his plan. He plans to use his immigration cop buyer, Sid, to smuggle the three inside, in order to get to the boat. Later that night, Theo hears the group smoking and drinking, and Jasper tells the ladies the story about how Theo and Julian met. The two met during a rally as protesters and their relationship broke after the death of their child. Unable to continue the conversation, Theo leaves and goes to bed. The next day, the group wakes up from the alarm as the fishes have found their location. Jasper immediately informs Theo on how they will find Sid and asks him to leave with the ladies, staying back to stall time for them. Theo drives the car away alongside the ladies but soon stops to find out what's going on. Meanwhile, the fishes arrive at the house, meet Jasper, and shoot him as he does not give them the information they request. However, Theo lies to Key, telling her that everything is fine and then drives off. The group arrives at the location, an abandoned school, the next day. Miriam tells Theo about her former job as a midwife and how the infertility issue affected all her patients. A truck carrying Sid soon arrives and they exchange passwords. The group gets into the truck and Sid drives them to the camp. On their way, Key has her first contraction but they lie to Sid that Key is car sick. On getting to Bexhill, Sid tells them to put on a sad refugee face and he moves them from the truck into the refugee bus. While they move, alongside other refugees, Key's contraction worsens and her water breaks as soon as they make it to the camp. Meanwhile, a guard notices her discomfort but Miriam manages to distract him, pretending to be having religious insanity, and she's taken away for execution. The guard also wants to take Key away, but Theo tells him that the water is urine, forcing the guard to leave. Theo and Key join a line, but Theo loses sight of Key when a guard tells him to lose his wristwatch, but the two soon reunite again. They eventually make their way into the camp and meet with Marichka, a Romani woman. Marichka takes them to an abandoned house, where Key can deliver her baby. Key is finding it difficult due to hard labor but Theo guides her and she finally has her child, healthy. The following day, Sid comes to check up on them and help them escape as the city becomes dangerous from an explosion of a wall, leading from a fight between the military and the refugees, led by the fishes. However, he finds out about the baby and promises to take them to the boat but Marichka knows that he is a bad person, therefore rejecting his help. Sid then brings out his gun and reveals that he decided to help them in order to receive the bounty placed on their heads. On their way out, Marichka attacks Sid and pushes him off while Theo jumps on him. Marichka then hits him with a stick and the three begin to run away. However, Sid runs faintly behind them but gets stuck to the door, allowing Theo to finish him by hitting a brick on his head. The three begin their journey to the boat, with Marichka leading the way, even though she gets confused on the way. They soon arrive at an apartment, where the owner allows them to enter after Marichka shows the baby to the owner through the window. The three eat and rest, and two elderly women play with the baby. The guard informs them that they will need to leave in an hour, and after 1 hour, Key is put in a wheelchair, and the three leave. They continue to run but the fishes catch up to them. Luke captures Key and the baby and orders his men to kill Theo and Marichka. However, the military arrives, allowing Theo and Marichka to run away. Theo and Marichka soon get separated but Theo continues to run until he gets to a building under an explosion. He climbs up the stairs and meets Luke, convincing Key about his good intentions but the building blows off, killing Luke in the process. Theo grabs the baby and Key and escorts them out of the building. Amazed by the baby, the fight is stopped and the three leave the building peacefully, passing through the refugees, fishes, and the military. Everyone stares at them in shock but the shooting soon continues as soon as they leave the building. They meet with Marichka, who takes them through an underground route to where the boat is. Marichka decides to stay back and pushes the boat into the sea. Theo rows the boat to the rendezvous point. On getting there, Key sees a blood stain on the boat and Theo tells her that he was shot, even though he states that he will be fine. The baby begins to cry and Theo teaches Key how to burp her, prompting Key to name her after Theo and Julian's son, Dylan. Theo soon loses consciousness as the tomorrow approaches them. The movie ends with the laughter of children being heard as the screen blacks out. Thanks for watching. Kindly subscribe to my channel to get notified when we post the next recap.